What's up, guys? NJ here, bringing you everything strategic. Let's talk about fighters. Get a snapshot in fighters today. I'm going to try and whiz by as quickly as possible through these because there's a lot of them. We have this first one here is really not worth it whatsoever, as well as the balancer here. The only benefit is they could help soak some damage as extra added fleet for your fighters to soak damage. The debuff is not practical whatsoever. It's really not practical. The Newland, pretty similar, but it's probably going to be slightly, just ever so slightly more practical because it can take out the weapon system of battle cruisers with its super capital strat to help negate some damage, but overall not a very good ship. We got the Vitas A heavy attacker. Now this ship is, I would say, a very good pull. Its purpose is taking out enemy propulsion systems. That's really its only function. Specifically, you want to use it to take out enemy carriers and battle cruisers with its strat. If you don't understand how propulsion works, you wipe out enemy propulsion and then destroy that ship. That person is 100% of the time going to have to rebuild that ship, and that ship will not refit. So that's why you want to run these guys for that purpose. Next up is the Janbiya, the worst ship currently until the devs changed things. It wasn't that case until some updates ago, and it's currently the worst. Don't even bother with it. If you did end up pulling a bunch of tech points into it because you're waiting for a good blueprint, something fun you could do just for kicks and giggles to see how well it will work. I don't think it'll be very practical. Run it in the Predator with the carrier strat. If you knock out the enemy command system, its version number goes to 1.00, so it would really help negate damage in that regards from the enemy carrier, of the aircraft in that carrier. But overall, I don't think it'll be practical, where the Bullfrog would be more practical in actually doing this. To me, it's not a good ship. It's not bad, though, because if you have limited blueprints, you can actually use it for at least just a little additional siege, whether it's for city or whatever. You just need extra siege damage. You could do it for extra siege damage. But with its super capital strat and its destruction of command systems, it'll focus on battle cruisers and then carriers. And if you're facing a version 3.00 whale, I don't know how quickly you'll knock out the command system, but I really think you could probably do it within the first 15 to 30 seconds with 10 of these guys if you have them leveled up. But overall, you're going to be wanting to put your tech points into something else, unless you're just pulling your tech points into this blueprint for a better blueprint. Stingray is one of those better ships. It's not great, though, but it is better. It's going to help actually tank for the rest of your fighters with its high evasion abilities. It has good DPM. It would be better if subsystem damage, because it's a subsystem damage ship, its damage is split between attacking the hull and attacking subsystems, but it does attack a good subsystem. Probably the only one that's important to me is that propulsion. So it's a high cost when they lose that battle cruiser or that cruiser, this thing does not target carriers, or at least not until you destroy all the battle cruisers and cruisers. But a lot of fleets I've come up against, they don't have battle cruisers. They just run, frigates, destroyers, cruisers, and then they bring in their CV3K. And in those scenarios, you go straight to attacking with this guy, the enemy's cruisers, whether you're talking Callisto, whether you're talking Jaeger or Predator. So there is some value there as well. Vitas B, this is going to be your best pull. To me, out of all the blueprints you can pull, this is probably your best pull you can ever pull of all blueprints. It does amazing DPM in any situation, has amazing survivability, even has an evasion strat to avoid anti-air fire from enemies. So this is probably the best pull you can get. The Pulsar fighter, the Loyal, this is, I would say, a great ship. It is an end game ship. It's very costly, costs a lot to build, so you don't want to build it early game. And its primary function is to eliminate enemy carriers. Now, you don't want to put it in the Predator with carrier strat if you don't have other ships, other blueprints that can also target carriers, because you want to make sure you have enough so it's actually effective. Otherwise, you're better off using all that damage output and attacking other things. So for this guy, if he's not using the strat, it's going to be attacking corvettes before attacking carriers. So just keep that in mind as well. And it does have high evasion, but also it's generally targeted first by the Mistral. However, the devs set up the system for that, which is also why I say it's end game ship. The Strix. The Strix is a multi-purpose ship, does energy damage. It would say is a good ship overall to put in after you get your best ships in. Because it does energy damage, you can have it naturally. It'll focus on the enemy corvettes and then move to fighters. You can give it the strat, which applies every so often, and will start focusing down enemy frigates and destroyers, doing decent damage. Also, you can put it in the Predator with carrier strat to help you out if you think you need extra damage for focusing down the carriers, which I have done myself personally. So overall, good versatile ship. The Sandrake. This ship is it's okay to good, I would say. It can help with your anti-air damage. It's kind of deceptive when you look at the blueprint or you unlock it. Looks like it should do great DPM, but it will not for anti-air because its missile system has the high numbers for anti-air, only responds defensively, and usually doesn't activate for some time, and so it will not dish out tons of great DPM. So it's kind of deceptively a not so great anti-air fighter, or not as good, but it is good to run to get that extra anti-air damage. All right, so then we have the Mistral. Now with the Mistral, this is going to be your best anti-air fighter or your best aircraft fighter in general. The best one to have, doesn't matter what carrier you have it in. It's going to perform great as long as you give it that 90% target lock-on, which is so important for any anti-air ship. You want to make sure you get 90% to 100% target lock-on rate for any anti-air aircraft. If you don't, you aren't going to dish out good damage because you got to change targets every time you kill an aircraft. And with swarm meta fleets, there's a lot of aircraft you got to kill. Finally, we got the Spore. This is kind of like Sandrake, but worse, and probably even more deceptive in making you think it's good, because you're going to see battle reports where it looks like it's doing high amounts of anti-air damage. And the devil's in the details. You look at the devil details and you find out, oh wait, 80% of this damage is attacking the subsystem. And then you're going to try and save yourself and save face, and you're like, well, I am destroying the weapon system. That's at least good, right? And then you look in the devil in the details of there, and you're going to find out, oh, the ship that I disabled the weapon system at 57 seconds, I disabled that ship's weapon. That ship died at the 1 minute marker. So yeah, not super effective. But if you want that filler ship, you don't have a ton of blueprints or not much anti-air, use it. But it's not like it's worse than the Sandrake. It's definitely a lot better use than, to me, the Balancer or the SC002. All right, that's it for the fighters.